Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest is a professional MMA athlete who competes out of Middlesbrough Fight Academy, Mr. Harry Houdini Hardwick. Harry, thank you so much for joining us again, my brother.
My pleasure, no worries.
This time there's no Jordie, it's just you, my friend.
Good.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's a bit problematic when we get joint interviews, to be fair. They tend to derail and both of us just start waffling on about nonsense.
It felt that way, brother, but it was entertaining as well, man. You guys have got like a kind of a dry sense of humor, which is, it takes a bit to kind of get used to, but it was good, man. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. So
well,
listen,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on again, especially after just fighting over the weekend. So you fought on the weekend on Fight Nation Championship in Croatia against Karlo Caput, who at the time his fight record was 8 wins with only 2 defeats. First of all, how did this fight come about? And then tell us what you knew about Karlo.
Well, the fight came about because I was just scrolling through Facebook and Carl Prince, he put one of those posts like looking for fighters, and it was a 66 kg, 8-2 record, Europe only. And there's a little group chat with me, George, and Pete Irving in it. So I just screenshotted it and sent it to Pete, like, should we ask what the crack is? Pete was like, yeah, may as well. So Pete messaged Carl, and then, yeah, that's literally how it came about. At about just about 4 weeks notice for it. So I had like 3 full weeks of training for it, which was ideal, really. I'm always in shape. I don't need a big long camp. It was good.
And what did you know about Karlo?
I knew that he 8-2. Obviously, I knew that he'd been fighting quite a while. Like he'd not fought mega regularly, but he'd been fighting a very long time, like way longer than I'd been fighting MMA. I knew that he's a strong grappler. Really likes to grapple guys and control guys. I knew he got a good right hand that he really likes. He loves his right hand because he got a 5-second knockout win with it. So it's like he really likes his right hand. And I knew that he's like sort of big and strong. Like he fought at lightweight. His fight before this one was at lightweight on a KSW. So I knew he was strong. He was taking down that lightweight quite regularly from the little bit of footage I've seen. So I knew he'd be strong. I knew he had good takedowns. I knew he had a decent right hand. But I also knew that I could put a real beating on him, and I knew that he would get tired. But the plan was to kind of like drag it out and make it really horrible for him, but went even better than expected.
So let's talk about the fight itself, brother. So the fight starts. Talk us through the fight, how it progressed.
Well, it was the moments before the fight were the real like shocker this time. Like normally when you're hitting pads before you fought yourself, when you sort of like hitting pads in the warm-up room, you kind of feel like you're gassing. You feel like you're not as good on the pads as you normally are, and this and that. Where I don't know, that's the best I've ever hit pads in my life. Like the little and like the intervals between the pads were like I just felt like I had more energy and I was just ready to go and I was raring to fucking go. I mean, we made a lot of made a big point of just adjusting a few things that I feel went wrong in the fight before this, and because the preparation goes, I just felt like untouchable, felt unbeatable. Got perfect warm up, just the right length. I was just dead chill in the warm up room. Like Pete noticed me at one point because I was like sat just sort of like kind of like shoulder dancing to myself, just by myself. He was like, "Oh, what song are you muttering to yourself there?" And it was like, "Got My Mind Set on You" by George Harrison. I was just sat in the warm room before I just dead chill. And then I noticed him, when you're waiting before you walk out. And I was like, I've just got to like strip away all his confidence. George was saying, because the fight was in his gym, it was in ATT Zagreb. So George was saying, just act like you own the whole place, like act like it's yours. So I was like just stood staring at him. I was like holding the fucking runners back by like finishing my warm up, just staring at him, going down when we got to the cage, or I got to the cage first. The ref told me off, so I couldn't get away with doing this fully. But I went to the cage door and like try to be there to stare at him when he gets in the cage. But the ref told me off for doing that, so I had to go back to my corner. But yeah, then I just thought as soon as the fight starts, I've just got to start fast and make it really stressful for him.
And just to clarify, Harry, so he was the local lad, and that was his town where you were competing.
I think he might originally be from Dubrovnik. The fight was in Zagreb, in American top team in Zagreb, which is where he trains. But I think he's originally from Dubrovnik. I think.
Cool.
I
Okay.
didn't
And
really research him that thoroughly.
talk us through the fight, brother.
It went really, really well. It was just there wasn't any nerves really. There was like little bits of nerves in some of the days leading up to it, and some of the times where you kind of like sat alone with your own thoughts, and like my heart rate was probably quite like a bit more elevated than it normally would be throughout the entire day, but it just felt good. Went out. That I kind of surprised myself when that first left hand dropped him, and I kind of rushed in and smothered my own work a bit. But then when he got me on the fence, this former lightweight, I was just like, huh. I can feel him tensing. I can feel like I'm using full body tension. I could hear his breathing like getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I was just like, it's all right. I'll just get off, and I'll just move. Got out into space. Just literally every time he landed, I think I just sort of acknowledged it with like, yeah, that was nice. Oh, go on, or like a little smile. It was just, I just wanted him to have a really stressful, horrible time because I've been in like many tough fights. I know I can handle a really tough fight, so I'm not afraid to go out, drive a really high pace, create some good exchanges, create lots of stuff happening. I don't mind that, but I don't think I don't think there's going to be many people as comfortable with that as me. So I knew I'd just go out, get on him, and pressure him. And you could see just as after the first exchanges and everything, his confidence started waning. He started second guessing himself. There was exchanges where he said like he wasn't pulling the trigger as much, and obviously I was just building and building and building from there.
Well, when the fight did start, brother, it shows that you kind of took the center of the cage and you were putting the pressure. And when the exchange started, initially he tried to hit back, and then he kind of had second thoughts. And at one stage, I'm sure he tried to go for the shoot, and you were able to sprawl strong. And I think that's when you did it wasn't just the one hook. I think you hit him with the right hook first, and then you caught him with the left that put him on the seat of his pants, right?
Yeah, it was because I pressurized him initially and I landed a low kick, which I kind of booted him in the knee, and my shin's a bit sore now. So I regret doing that. But I pressurized him, and then I knew once he started getting his back very close to the fence, I knew that's when he was probably going to start trying to like shoot his way off the fence. So he shot and he come up with an uppercut that was quite nice, and I kind of went like at him, and then I threw this right hook as he threw his right hand, and he stepped on it, and then we both kind of came square with each other, but my weight was really loaded, ready to throw my left hook. So I closed the door with the left hook straight away, and then it was just a good punch, and then I kind of rushed in a little bit and smothered myself.
Yeah, but I think as soon as he hit the floor, he got back up straight away and continued, didn't he?
Yeah. He sort of like he collected himself pretty quickly. He managed to sort of gather his wits pretty quickly, and then he did a decent job of slowing it down a little. He got me on the fence, but when I was on the fence with him, I was still just landing like little annoying shots, chipping shots to him, and I could feel him like tensing up, and I could feel him breathing heavy, and then I was hitting his body a bit. I was making him work. I was creating a lot like tension in him, if you get me.
Yeah, for sure. And when he had you against the cage, I think for him it was more trying to build that time than anything else. He wasn't really hurting you. We were just trying to keep you there for some time, right?
Yeah, I think he wanted the takedown ideally, but that wasn't happening. And I think he was just trying to have a moment to like collect himself. But then I was just giving him little like annoying little digs and little like just chipping shots. I could have maybe done with creating a little bit more space to get a bit more power on them, but I don't know. I was very relaxed. He didn't, I could feel him using full tension, but it's like I'm used to George, I'm used to Abdul, I'm used to the lads at the gym grabbing me. It's like he was just holding me. I was so fuck.
And talking about the takedown, There was one point where he went in for a really deep single, and he got it, and he turned the corner and got it right deep. And I think you ended up being taken down. And then talk us through that scramble, how you got back to your feet from there.
Yeah, it's like I think I threw an uppercut as he shot, but the uppercut didn't quite connect right. And what it ended up doing was it like stapled my arm to him. So I kind of like grabbed his chin, thought about guillotine a little bit, because he had my leg tied up. And then we ended up he turned the corner, and my shoulders and back never touched the mat, but he got my ass to the mat. And then as he tried to like build up my body, I got up and he got to my back. And this was literally just something George mentioned in passing after like one of the last spars. Like I'd been doing once a week, the 3 weeks I had to train for this fight. I'd been doing spars with George and Abdul, like half a round each, and it was awful. But it was just something George noted. It was like, well, George and Abdul both noted this. Like that Granby roll you're trying, do it when you've got momentum. Don't like I was prematurely going for it. And George was like, no, wait till you get some momentum and do it. So I was like, all right, I'm up. He's on my back. And there was just that split second. Wait for him to go for the takedown. And then he did, and that's when I went. And that's how it like came off so cleanly, and I got into a better position. And then I pressed him up against the fence, and I was just thinking, I'm bringing him in the striking. I don't need to stay here. I don't need to take him down. So I like broke with the left up head, left up body.
And let's talk about the finish itself, brother. From the body shots, work us from there.
The body shots are just generally a thing that I like to do because I fight at a very high pace. So the more tired I can make someone, the better. And body shots make people tired. But yeah, it was a jab to the body. I was buzzing with that. I love jabs to the body. We were literally just earlier in the day, we were talking about how me and Pete were talking about how mint Mayweather's jab to the body is. And it's something I've like put a fair bit of time into, but it's just never come off in a fight properly. But I think I went southpaw for a bit. I cracked him with like a double left hand. I hit him with something maybe to the chest, and then I come up with a left hook, and I was pressurizing him. And it was like as his back went flat to the fence, his guard came up quite high. Like I think he was expecting me to hit him in the head again. But his guard came up quite high, and his feet squared up on the fence, and it was like a real like a Jack Dempsey would call it like a jolt, where it's like a lead hand straight punching. You're dropping your full weight onto it. Everything goes to you. You dropped it in, and then like come up with a left hook, and then my brain was like, oh, he's hurt off that. So I posted on his head because I didn't want. He got my legs earlier when I'd hurt him, so I was like, I don't want him to get anywhere near my legs. So I posted on his head, and I've had loads of people message me thinking, were you going to knee him there? I didn't want you to do it at Jan Aljamain Sterling. I had loads of people message me, I thought you were going to knee him. I was shitting myself. I didn't want to get disqualified. Well, I posted on his head just to keep him off my hips, and then I circled around to his back, and I was hitting him. And I would have loved the KO or the TKO, because then that would have meant my record would have been like perfectly OCD. I'd have had 2 TKOs, 2 submissions, 2 decisions, which would have been like perfect for my OCD. But I was hitting him, and I was hitting him in the head, and I thought I've hurt him to the body. And I think I remember we were watching on a little live stream on someone's phone in the warm-up room, one of the earlier fights, and I was thinking, the ref stopped it quite late. I don't want to keep punching him. And sort of as I was thinking that, he tried to better his position, and his head came up, and it was just straight away, and I just squeezed really hard.
Well, the thing is, when he lifted his head up for that split second, and you worked your arm through, it was deep all the way around, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went straight in, deep through, like no space at all. It wasn't like I looped it round. It was deep through, and then I immediately grabbed my other hand with my chin. So there's no way he could have got it back. Like that was it. That was over there. There was nothing he could have done.
Well, you're right, brother. That was over then. Then talk to me about your celebratory victory thing that you did. Let's talk about that.
Well, because he's the Croatian cowboy. I don't know where this came from. I don't know what happened, but I was happy. I was excited, and he's the cowboy. So I got up and I did like the gun thing, and then and like put the guns back in the holster. Then I walked around, and then like the weird thought entered my head. Like I was pretty excited anyway, but like you can just scream, and like when in your life can you just scream at the top of your lungs? So I was like ah, and then I didn't even realize like I just went to like and like did a big side kick off the cage and bounced off the cage. I didn't realize Pete's hand was there. I just booted Pete in the hand, the same hand that when he did my hand wraps earlier in the thing. I was like, I was relaxed, but I was dead ready to go. And I was like, Anthony, finish doing my hand wraps. And he like, oh, just to test if the wrap was good. He was like, he'd give his arm up, squeeze his wrist, and he said, throw a punch. And I didn't even think. I just like went, what? Like my brain just went, whack. And he said, what are you doing? Pissing ourselves laughing in the warm room. So yeah, that the same hand that I punched earlier, I then threw a sidekick at through the cage. And then I like walked around a bit and thought, I should probably shake the guy's hand.
You see, now I understand why you did the gum thing, because I've never seen you do any sort of celebration like that. But as soon as you finish, next thing you know, you shot two people outside the cage, you blew the end of the pistols and you put them back. But is that because just kind of the Croatian cowboy thing?
Yeah, and it was like, it was part of the whole. I would maybe be a bit too like sort of like timid in my body language in previous fights. So for this one, it was just like, you got to just act like you own it. You act like the whole thing's about me, and like this cage is mine, this gym's mine, everything's mine here. And like, I had that kind of like swagger about me, and I think it had an influence on my behavior. I think like, you act how you feel, and kind of how you feel, how you act, and that kind of thing. And as I started like puffing my chest out and just acting like, yeah, fuck, I'm going to beat the fuck out this guy, and that like, it just happened. I became more of a dick than I normally.
Now, in your corner, brother, who were the two people that were in your corner, and also what role did they play and what did they bring to the table?
So my corner for this one, it was George and Pete. The promotion, they pretty standard fare. The promotion only paid us one corner to come out, so I paid for Pete to come out, but George came out the full time we were there, so we went on the Wednesday, and then Pete just come on the Friday night. But yeah, George, do I have to give George some credit?
You got it, brother.
Oh no, to be fair, he's really sort of like came into his own with coaching for this fight. Like he really was spot on with everything. Just a little bits of advice, little bits like getting like the little psychological tricks that you play as a coach. Like he was doing that well. Yeah, he was all right. Bit annoying though, and just having to spend even more time with him. We get so sick of each other's company. But yeah, and then Pete's massive influence on me. Like like our head MMA coach is Abdul Mohammed, but then Pete's I was sort of like I was second in command. I was second main coach, and yeah, I can't say enough for what Pete's done. Like just changed how we see jiu-jitsu really. Just we've got like a much sort of like more cohesive, clear game of jiu-jitsu. Really good strategist. Just great guy. He has a similar sense of humor to us, which kind of helps if you end up stuck in hotel rooms and stuff. So the one thing people don't really appreciate about fighting is the amount of time that you just spend sort of like waiting about for stuff. Like this fight was 3 minutes or something. Before this, we had to travel like an entire day twice. We had to spend several days in a hotel, just chilling out, sitting about. When you get to the venue, you've got hours and hours of just sitting and waiting. Most of fighting is waiting about, really. But so it does help when you have someone with like a similar sense of humor that you can actually talk to that isn't George.
Well, Pete's really cool because I've had him on the podcast, and normally a podcast is about 45 minutes, that we kind of time it to. And with him, man, the stories that he was telling, we ended up doing like an hour and 20 minutes, and he's so cool to chat to him, and he's so knowledgeable, isn't he?
Yeah, he does waffle on a bit, but that's just part of the thing. He's far too well spoken for a Jordie anyway. Like normally Jordies can't really speak English, but I think he's one of the few that can.
Well, the interesting there is, brother, when you talk about accents and speech, anytime he would tell a story about him being in Brazil, there'd be like this Portuguese twang on top of his Jordie accent. Do you know what I'm on about?
I know the exact thing you're on about, but then he said when he speaks Portuguese, he kind of, you can still hear the Jordie, and it sounds really weird. But because he's lived in loads of different places, so he's got like I've had a few people go, "Where's Pete from?" I can't like put a finger on his accent because he's got like the Newcastle, but then he lived in London for a while and he's lived in Brazil for a while. His accent sort of like molded into something that's quite unique. He's got his own accent, which is nice.
He has, because right when I was chatting to him, and you know, I introduced him and everything, and we were chatting away, and then I said, "Oh, where did the gym name come from?" You know, and then he started. That's when that Brazilian twang happened. So he's like, "Yeah, well, the gym name, you know, I tell you, Bava, it came all the way from there," and I'm like, "Where's that come from?" But he was so cool.
Accents are a weird thing anyway. Like a lot of the Croatians, well, some of the Croatians couldn't recognize us as English because we got a Northern English accent. They were like, "Oh, they just couldn't tell." They were like, "Oh, you English?" Like, they just didn't know. I think they might have expected us to be Cockney geezers. Like, this is the only way English people talk. But no, just Northern English. Like when me and George went to America on holiday, with the family years and years ago, this guy kept trying to guess where me, George, and our other brother are from. And like he literally said every English speaking country in the world before he said England. He was like, "Oh, where are you guys from? Australia? Scotland? Like South Africa?" And we're like, "No, no, no, no. You Irish? No. You from Ohio?"
So, brother, from that last fight you had, have you sustained any injuries that would prevent you from taking another short notice fight, or are you ready to go if you need to?
My shin's a bit sore at the minute, but no, I'm pretty fine. Yeah, I've got knuckles a little bruised, shin's a bit sore, forehead's a little bruised, but I'm sound me. I could do with me because the training for it was really really hard. Like I could maybe do with like what's called like a deload phase, where I just chill. I'm gonna have this week pretty much completely off. I might do some bicep curls or something stupid, but just gonna have this week totally off. Just let my body recover, let my brain reset a little bit, and then get ready to go. Because the training for this fight was like just hell. It was really, really, really hard, like really intense. Well, we managed to like periodize it well, so it'd be like Monday, 2 really hard training sessions. Tuesday, 2 easier sessions. Wednesday, really hard in the morning, easier on the night. Thursday, 2 really hard ones. Friday, easier. Saturday morning, really hard one. So I was like building in the time for me to recover. So it wasn't like I was downtrodden and like overtrained and running myself down and putting myself at risk of getting injuries and overtraining and all the other many issues that come with overtraining. I was like just at that perfect intensity, and then it just peaked at the perfect time. Like everything was just perfect. I was saying to Pete on fight day, he was like, "Oh, how are you feeling?" I was like, almost too good. It's like it's weird. Like there's not. I can't. I don't know what to expect. This is just odd. I've never felt this good. I don't trust it.
Well, talk about taking the week or two off and just chilling. Brother, I'm going to put a picture up, right, of the food that you ordered the other night, I think, after your fight. What was on that? Just talk us through that meal, brother.
Well, my friend Mobeen Hussein, he got a takeaway one that he just started. Circa's delivery or Circa's Express. I think I'll balls that. Circa's takeaway. It's in Middlesbrough. It's Circa's something, but he just said, "Oh, I'll sort you out with some stuff." So I got a large bolognese chicken parmesan. The Parmo is like Teesside's dish. For anyone who doesn't know, the Parmo is a very, very local thing at Teesside. Like you can travel about 40 minutes to an hour, you're not getting a Parmo anymore, or you're not getting a proper one. So it's butterflied chicken, breaded, like breaded, bag wash, breaded, deep fried. Then it comes out. Then there's bechamel sauce spread on top, and then for sauce type toppings like bolognese, you usually put that on top of the besh and then the cheese. But then the best way for the other way is if it's like a pizza type topping like pepperoni, you put the cheese on top of the besh and then you put the toppings on so they can get crispy. But anyway, that's just how I prefer things. But so you got your breaded fried chicken, your bechamel, and then your cheese. Usually it's cheddar. Like cheddar's the best cheese for it. And then it goes under the grill, so the top gets all like you get like caramelized cheese and the bechamel gets nice and thick. And then you usually have that with garlic sauce. And the garlic sauce at Circars is probably the best I've had from any takeaway. Because normally it's watered down, like it's the garlic and mayo, and then they water it down to kind of extend it out and increase the profit margins a little. But Bean doesn't water it down. It's proper thick. It was raw. It was really nice. And then I had a medium-sized mixed kebab box. So I ate about half the parmo, and then I strategically left half to have for lunch today. And then I ate most of the kebab stuff. But then I did get to a point where like I really hit a wall and could barely move. And it was like when I'd finished, I kind of had to like lie down for a couple of minutes and then sort the pots out and stuff and throw the boxes out. But
Well, when I rung you, brother, you must have just had your food because you were saying, I can't move, my stomach's hurting.
I mean, it'd been a big, long, stressful day of traveling. Like when you rang me, I probably hadn't been asleep in about 30-something hours. Like I didn't get a wink of sleep after my fight and then traveled all day. And then straight after my fight, I was like just drank loads of beer and ate loads of chocolate. And then in the airport, you know, we spent 5 hours in Amsterdam airport. So I had like a burger and had loads of stuff there as well. So my stomach's probably very confused as to what's going on at the minute.
Brother Harry, thank you so much for coming straight onto the podcast after your fight. And I look forward to having you on the future podcast, my brother.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.